Hey everyone, welcome to Great Tales. My name is Gautam Tulgu, and if you are joining my channel or watching this video for the first time, I talk about HR, careers, Canada, and much more beyond that. Have you noticed how every time something goes wrong in Canada, it could be about housing, healthcare, or jobs, immigrants seem to be the ones taking the fall. It's a pattern that's growing, but is it really fair? Let's unpack the truth behind this frustrating narrative. Let me help you understand why this conversation matters. Canada is often seen as a beacon for immigration, a land of opportunity where newcomers are welcomed with open arms. But behind the scenes, a different conversation is taking place. As Canada's population grows at a record pace, frustrations are bubbling over, and this has been there in the last couple of years. Housing is unaffordable, healthcare wait times are unbearable, and many Canadians feel like their quality of life is slipping. Instead of examining systemic issues or policy shortcomings, a large portion of the blame is being directed at the immigrants. Let's break down why this happens, how public sentiment is evolving, and why blaming immigrants may actually be harming Canada's progress as a nation. The housing crisis in Canada is no secret. Housing prices have soared beyond what many Canadians can afford, and rental markets are out of control. But here's the thing, while it's easy to blame immigration, the reality is far more complex. Canada welcomed over 431,000 permanent residents in 2022 alone, and with population growth comes an increased demand for housing. But blaming immigrants ignores decades of underinvestment in affordable housing, zoning restrictions, and a lack of long-term planning by governments. A recent report showed that Canada would need to build 3.5 million new homes by 2030 to restore affordability. Something that has little to do with newcomers and more to do with systemic failures in urban planning. So here, instead of asking why immigrants are taking up housing, why are we not questioning policies that favor investors and foreign buyers over families? So precisely, immigrants are not the ones designing zoning laws or holding up construction projects. In fact, many immigrants themselves struggle to find affordable housing when they arrive into this country. The numbers were announced timely and all are out in the public timely by the Government of Canada. But why are the reactions coming now? Another hot topic is about healthcare. The system is stretched thin with longer wait times for surgeries and overwhelmed emergency rooms because, can you guess what? Even for that, immigrants are often blamed for overloading the systems. I've been in Canada for the last 4 years and never had to step into the hospital door. I never used it, and there may be hundreds and thousands of them like me who might have not even had to visit a hospital for any reason. So am I ready to take the blame? No. But let's unpack this a bit more. Yes, Canada's population growth puts pressure on the healthcare, even if you assume that there are certain percentages of immigrants who may be using the healthcare facilities. But here's the twist. Immigrants are not just users of the system, they are also its backbone. I'll tell you why. And some of the key statistics say that immigrants make up 37% of physicians and 25% of nurses in Canada. Without them, the system would likely collapse. While immigrants are blamed for crowding hospitals, they are also the ones staffing them. And the strain on healthcare has more to do with underfunding or outdated infrastructure and a lack of strategic planning than it does with the number of people in Canada. Immigrants are helping to fix the problem but not causing it. That's something that you should remember. Now let's tackle another classic. Immigrants are taking all the jobs. This sentiment has been around forever, but in Canada it's becoming louder as industries evolve and automation replaces more traditional roles. Some Canadians feel squeezed out of opportunities, especially in sectors like technology or healthcare, where skilled immigrants often excel. But the idea that immigrants are stealing jobs is an absolute myth. While the data says immigrants are filling labor shortages in industries like Canadians are either unwilling or unable to work in. Think long-haul trucking, construction, and caregiving. the immigrants are the ones who are supporting these industries. And during the pandemic, many industries were literally pleading for workers. Immigrants stepped up to fill the gaps where no one else would. And this is the truth nobody can deny. And the real issue isn't job competition, it's about skill gaps, lack of training programs, and changing industry demands. And immigrants are simply filling the roles that needed to be filled. Now, here's the deeper question: why are immigrants so often the scapegoats? From the human psychology standpoint, it's easier to blame the other than to confront complex systemic issues. Because immigrants become a visible target, especially during times of economic uncertainty. And also, certain political leaders and media outlets amplify these frustrations, framing immigrants as a problem rather than part of the solution. With immigration, of course, comes change, with new languages coming up into the country, with traditions and communities of different regions across the world. For this, some of the Canadians feels like a loss of identity, even though Canada's multiculturalism has always been its strength. So the real problems Canadians should focus on instead of blaming immigrants, here are some of the real issues that need attention. Affordable housing. Government needs to invest in housing, streamline development processes, and rethink zoning laws. And healthcare needs more funding, better infrastructure, and strategic workforce planning are some of the key elements within the sector. And of course, job training, preparing Canadians for the jobs of the essential for the future is essential, especially in sectors facing automation. And one thing to always remember, immigrants are not the ones who created these problems. These are issues that have been building up for decades due to policy gaps and mismanagement. And of course, with all of the blame game that is happening, there are real consequences for the immigrants, where it probably be an emotional toll for many newcomers, where they feel unwelcomed and undervalued, even though they contribute so much to Canada's economy and the culture. When immigrants are blamed, it creates roadblocks to their success, from hiring biases to social exclusion. So, how can we shift the narrative? So, here are some of the inputs from my end. I think it's always important to challenge these stereotypes and call out misinformation when you see it, whether it's on social media or in conversations. Focus on facts, share data, and stories that highlight the positive impact of immigrants. Advocate for solutions that address the root causes of housing, healthcare, and job challenges. So, blaming immigrants might feel convenient, but it's a lazy thing to do. And Canada's challenges are complex, and solutions require thoughtful policies and not scapegoating. And immigrants are not the problem, they are part of the solution. So, next time you hear someone say it's because of immigrants, ask them to dig a little deeper. Because the truth, it's never that simple. Thank you for watching Details.